Hello. Okay, and welcome to a bit of a workshop video. Today what I've got here is my Howa 1500 chambered in 300 PRC, and I wanted to do a little bit of a chat today about this particular rifle. And what I wanted to do was make a off-the-shelf everything. You just walk into a store, pick up a rifle, purchase it with a box of factory ammunition and go long range hunting with it and see how that would go. I have been shooting just Hornady factory ammunition, and I wanted to talk a little bit about my thoughts of the whole rig and the package, and then tell you my future plans with what I would like to do with it as well. So I've owned quite a few 30 cal magnums, but I really wanted to try out the 300 PRC to see if it was kind of anything special, I guess. Purchased the rifle, put a carbon fibre stock on it. Unfortunately, the first carbon fibre stockies stock cracked. Sort of cracked right in underneath the recoil lug, probably about a 3-inch crack. So that went under warranty, and they were very good about it. The rifle wouldn't shoot well, obviously, and they replaced the stock pretty much in 2 days. I got it, I had it in hand. So that was really neat. After that, I decided to reduce some of the recoil, and I put a fairly inexpensive muzzle brake on there. But there were a few conditions that I really wanted with the muzzle brake. I really wanted one that was a little wider at the front, and I didn't want one with ports coming back to the shooter at all. I wanted straight out ports, so it killed a lot of the recoil but didn't make the sound for someone that I was hunting with unbearable, basically. And to be honest, this is a Gun City precision muzzle brake. It was not expensive, it was $150. It's got 6 top ports as well. But this muzzle brake just ticked all the boxes for me. It was cheap. I could fit it myself. It had straight porting out the side. It's a little bit wider, so a military sort of style muzzle brake. And it had the top ports. And it just works really, really well. It's not stupid loud, but the recoil was just nothing with this particular rifle. So once I fitted that muzzle brake, I decided to stick with the factory ammunition kind of idea with the rifle, and it's been pretty good. It's been pretty good for a factory rifle and factory ammunition. I'm going to quickly show a couple of clips. So one of them is of the chamois hunt that we just did, where this was shooting. It was shooting pretty well. We still managed to take out some animals at long range with it as well, and it just performed really, really well. So I'll show you those clips, and I'll also show you another clip of I just culled out a goat, and that was a good shot as well with it. So here they are.
7:31.
Oh yes! Oh, excellent. Yes!
Firing. That's how you do it.
Right, so there you go. That's two shots that I've taken. I have done a fair bit of range work with this rifle, and did find that one day I could shoot like a quarter MOA group, and the next day it would send flyers and things like that. And I don't believe it's me either. So moving forward, I really actually considered rechambering this rifle. It's got a 3.7-inch overall magazine length, which is a proper Magnum action length. I like that. I seriously considered rechambering this to 300 Remington Ultra Mag, And the reason being was even when I loaded some hand loads, I was getting up to like 28, 20 feet per second, and it was hot. And that was with reloader 26. And that's just a little bit disappointing on the velocity side of it. But after doing a fair bit of research and also going over I've shot 300 Weatherby Magnum, I've shot 300 Rum, 300 Winchester Magnum, I actually decided I don't think it was really worth the extra potentially 100 feet per second, spending another $500 on this rifle. So I've decided to commit to keeping this rifle in 300 PRC, and I've also decided that I'm going to bed the rifle into this Stockies carbon fibre stock. I don't think they're the best stock in the world at all. I actually have a bit of a gripe against them, how they come out of factory. They need a fair bit of work. So this will get a full length bedding job from here to here. And that will be the first thing that I do before I start proper load development with this. Before I take the rifle off the table, you'll see it has no scope on it. And that's because the Vixen scope that I quite like has actually gone back on my 284 Winchester, and I have ordered a Zeiss V4 6-24 by 50 for this rifle. I just found down south I don't want to carry a spotting scope around, but having a 24 power scope will help me identify animals at about a K, something like that. And that Zeiss that's a pretty nice scope for me. So that'll sit on this rifle, and this rifle will be an open top South Island hunting rifle. So I'll move the rifle off and I'll show you what I'm going to do when I say, commit to this particular rifle platform. I'll show you through some of the componentry that I'm going to be using, and then I'll basically get into the actual rifle. In terms of bedding this rifle, I really think Nathan Foster's Terminal Ballistics bedding kits are the mutt's nuts. I've used a lot of them and they're really, really good. So this is Terminal Ballistics bedding kit. You get yourself your actual bedding epoxy and your hardener. You get a release agent that goes between your stock and your action, and then you also get some plasticine to make your dams and get it all nice, neat and tidy. So that's what the bedding kit will be used for this rifle. I think it's necessary for the Howa. I don't think it matters unless you put it into chassis. I don't think it matters which stock you put on there. If it's the Hogue, it should be bedded. If it's the Stockies carbon fibre stock, it should be bedded as well. And that's that. So it'll get bedded first, and then we will move into ladder testing. What I've done is I've gotten the Hornady brass and taken that out. I want to get that out of my recipe for reloads. I wasn't really happy with the capacity that the Hornady was holding either. And the factory ammunition was going 2,720 feet per second, which is quite slow. Quite slow. I was sort of hoping for 2,900 feet per second with the particular projectile that I would like to be using. So what I have here is 50 cases of Lapua 300 PRC brass, which is I think it's made out of brass, not gold, but the price difference is not much. So that's like as good as brass really gets, and I really like that. So Lapua brass, and we'll be loading with reloader 25, which I've got 26 as well, which is a slightly better powder, but I know 25 is not that popular because it does have some temperature sensitivity issues, but as long as you're not ramming powder into this case and doing anything really stupid with it, it should be just fine. So I am hoping to get 2550 to 2900 feet per second with this particular projectile here. Is the 225 grain ELD match bullet, and that was the projectile I was shooting in those 2 clips as well. And that bullet, it hits extremely hard, and it just does what it needs to do. Starts performing best down at 2400 feet per second. Tend to fly to bits if they're doing a little bit quicker than that. So in close, not the greatest projectile, but once you start going past 300, 350 yards with these, then they really come into their own. So there you go. So next time you see this rifle, I'll be out on the range with it. I will have the new scope, I will have my hand loads and ladder test, and I have decided to commit to the 300 PRC, and we will see what this new fine dandy 30 cal Magnum can do. So I'm quite excited. I do think the 300 PRC is clever. The way everything seats, those long, large projectiles, you could run 250 grains in this with a twist rate. The way those long, large projectiles seat into that case, you really have an efficient case that's really with a nice sharp shoulder angle, and it really is a clever design for a modern Magnum cartridge. So I won't be doing a 7mm PRC anytime soon. My 284 Winchester on a 20-inch barrel is about 150 feet per second behind it, so I don't really see any point. But yeah, the big 30 cals, they do hit really nicely, and with a BC of 7.777, that really cuts the wind out of those long range shots. So there you go, guys, that's my update on the 300 PRC. If you kind of like that, then follow along and you'll see it down at the range and out in the field again. So I'll see you next time.